Hey there, I'm inside my wash station and I want to show you everything about my wash station today for a couple of reasons. First of which, this is a perfect project for most of you right now in your off season because it is now currently mid-December. And I think the wash station is something that gets often overlooked because you're trying to get the farm going. You got a lot going on in the spring. You're trying to get stuff planted, all that kind of stuff. Or if you're just building out a farm, often people forget about the wash station, and it's probably one of the most crucial pieces of the farm for a bunch of reasons. First of which is you can be super inefficient in a wash station and you can lose a ton of time. I would say at least 50%, if not 70% of the time on your farm is spent harvesting, washing, and packing vegetables. So anything you do to simplify that, to streamline that, to save time is going to be hugely beneficial. And this goes for having farms that have multiple employees and a much bigger operation down to something like my farm, which is basically just me, and I'm even part-time. So for me to keep my hours down on the farm, I do whatever I can to sneak out any efficiencies in saving time, labor, and just overall stress, because the easier it is to work on something, the more joy you'll get out of it, the happier you'll be doing it, and all those kinds of things. So this is a great time to start talking and thinking and planning about your wash station. And so I want to show you what's going on here. Now, there is no right way to do this. This is just what I've done, and I want to show you that because it might give you some ideas. To put some of this into context for you, this is a very small two-car garage, and I have only probably a very small fraction of it. I'd say maybe a quarter of it is for this wash area over here. This is definitely not used for cars anymore. That was given up a long time ago. But this is right here is set up for mainly washing greens. I do a little bit of root stuff in here too. But this was where my original wash station was the first 2 seasons of Satin Hill Farm. And I basically took all that equipment down to Raleigh City Farm to run Raleigh City Farm last year. And then when I moved back home, I just rebuilt a bunch of stuff. So it's kind of like Wash Station 2.0 here. And what I did was I just built a couple things larger and a little bit more efficiently so that I could have more throughput, because I really want to make sure that I'm washing and packing vegetables as quickly as possible. Not only in terms of saving time, but I want to make sure that the vegetables are getting cleaned properly, dried properly, and stored properly, because one thing that will really separate your product versus other farms and food off of trucks and food coming from across the country or across the world is the freshness and the shelf life. And I think a lot of things that I do here do help with all that kind of stuff. So I want to show you around all the little pieces here. I did make a video earlier in the year about when we were plumbing the wash station here, but then I never got around to making a video about the wash station finished. It's actually great because I basically put a whole season in here. So everything that's here is working really well, and I've kind of tweaked what I needed to tweak, and so I want to show you guys around for that. Now, there's a lot of videos about a lot of the things in this wash station, and everything, including that video I mentioned about the plumbing, those videos will be linked down below. So again, if you have further questions about this stuff here, please go watch those videos. I'll leave them in the description down below, and you guys can check them out. So let me show you around a little bit. All right, so we'll start with the greens bubbler, which is the first step in washing greens. And another reason why I didn't show you this originally was I was actually helping Farmer's Friend work on a prototype for their greens bubbler kit. And the product didn't quite pan out, but what I wound up with is a prototype that I had to modify. So again, I can't really show you all the stuff that's in here just as they requested, but I have been using it all season, and I have changed it and tweaked it a little bit to make it work a little better for myself. So I'll give you the gist of it. This is a 110-gallon tank that I got from Tractor Supply. I'll leave that down below. Nothing really unique about the tank. It's just big and fairly inexpensive. And again, I use a bubbler and a manifold in the bottom, which I can't show you obviously, as I just mentioned. But in the first video I did about the wash station, which was one of my earliest videos on the channel, I go through and show you the build that I had. I would probably do it very similarly to that. So again, I'll leave that link down below. It's just a manifold with PVC and a jacuzzi air blower. It works absolutely unbelievably well. One thing that I do really like is having a fill here with a Hudson float valve on it, which you can see right there. That has been crucial in just saving my time, and also like I can turn it on and walk away and the water's not flowing all over the place. Also, it fills to a consistent level, and I find that to be very important to running your wash station very efficiently, is if it always fills up to the same height every single time, you know exactly how it's going to work every single time. So again, this is the greens bubbler. You just fill it up with a bunch of water. You don't fill it all the way. You put the greens in, you turn the air on it here, and it bubbles through and cleans all the greens. So that is the first step, and the next step is the spinner, which I'll show you in a second. All of this is plumbed together with 2-inch PVC in terms of the drain, and go check out that plumbing video, again, link down below, to see how we did that. But I wanted everything to be tied in together, and this all drains out away and back on the other side of my property, or on the side of the house, so it doesn't just drain out into the yard and cause flooding and stuff like that. After it's done bubbling, I use this guy. This is like a fry basket or something. I think I got this at like a restaurant store to scoop out the greens, and it goes into this basket here. This is one of these fish baskets. I originally got this from Agri Supply. I don't know if they still sell it, but you can find these on Amazon. I would just search for fish basket. It's been working fine. I only have one of them, but it's been fine. I don't need more than one of them. This is the modified salad spinner. This is the salad spinner, so modified washing machine with a spin timer here to have it spin. I made a whole video on the full build out for this. This has been working great. I'd say I run it for maybe 7 minutes or so per cycle. And one thing I want to point out about the salad spinner is that if you put too much lettuce in there, it dries really inefficiently, because unlike clothing, when you're spinning it in the washing machine and it presses up against the side, water can pass through like a t-shirt or something like that. The lettuce, it doesn't work. So the more that's packed in there, the less it will dry. And I've just noticed that you sort of have to find that balance with getting the most out of each load of lettuce, not laundry, and your throughput and stuff like that. So you'll figure that out. Now over here behind, I just want to show you this. I love building these manifolds. This is the water coming in, and I ran a separate line over to basically the source of the water coming into the house right after the water filter, to get as much water flow in here as possible, because the biggest bottleneck is going to be filling and draining the greens bubbler. If you're running a lot of greens through it, I can wash 25 to 30 pounds usually. And then I probably really want to drain the water and swap it out. Unless it's super clean, you just have to see what's going on. If you're watching multiple kinds of greens, you're going to want to drain it in between each one. And the fill does take a while, because I don't have the quickest fill just because of the gallons per minute at my house here. But yeah, so what's neat about this is I have one line just for the fill, which with the Hudson float valve. I got another line here with a garden hose and a sprayer, and this is dedicated just for spraying out the tank. So I can just spray out the greens bubbler, and has its own dedicated hose there, which is fantastic. And this line runs over to the other sink here, and let me show you that. This is sort of the backside of that U shape of the wash station here, and we got another drop here with a ball valve and a very short garden hose with a sprayer. I use this little sink here. This is tied into that same drain. This is used for washing roots like carrots and beets, spraying out totes, stuff like that. So again, super simple. This is just like a double laundry sink you get at Lowe's, very inexpensive. It's been working fine. But was one thing I didn't have in my original setup, and it's really nice to have that, so I can just spray things out, and especially, as I said, like washing roots. And after either the roots get washed in here, or the lettuce and stuff comes out of the washing machine spinner, they go over here on the drying rack. Let me show you this. So this is the drying screen, and this has been crucial in getting the greens as dry as possible. One of the biggest things I mentioned before about shelf life and all that kind of stuff is getting the greens as dry as possible before they go in the bag, and then put them in the fridge. And that way you really increase their shelf life, and it's a great product for sure. So the other thing that doubles with the drying screen is it's kind of a sorting space, because once you have all the greens laid out, you can easily see everything really well, and like pick out anything that's not what you want in there, if there's any weeds in there, or some subpar lettuce. It gives you a chance to sort all that out. And one thing I did is I put a fluorescent light here mounted so I could just see really well. It's one thing that makes sure you have good lighting, because if you can't see what you're doing, you're just gonna be throwing all sorts of stuff in your bag, and you want to make sure, again, the produce is as nice as possible for your customers. I've showed this in those other videos. Basically, this is like 2x4 construction. I have 3 fans on here. This is about 6 feet wide. This screen here is 1/4-inch hardware cloth. Let's see, we got 2x3s and 2x2s holding this together, and we have bolts on the side so that this thing pivots. And the nice thing, it doesn't pivot super smoothly, but it does pivot. The nice thing here is when we're done, we can just smack the screen here, and all the greens will fall out, and I can just sweep them up. And that makes the turnover really easy. This has been just absolutely fantastic, and my workflow has been pretty cool because as it's bubbling and spinning, well, it only bubbles for a little while, but there was always greens in there as we're going. Spinning is probably happening all the time, and then I'll have stuff drying. So once you get those 3 going in a cycle, you can start moving a lot of produce through. It's just hard when you get started. You feel like you're not getting anywhere, and then as everything gets going, you start cruising through. And the nice thing here is I will be doing all that, and I just pack off the backside here. So I can show you over here, I have a little stainless table. I don't know where this came from originally, but basically what I'll be doing is I'll taking the greens off here and packing them on the table here. And it's just a really nice workflow. It's been working really, really well. Zero complaints here. There's 3 box fans up here. They're basic like $20 box fans plugged into a power strip that I can just turn on and off. So this is the setup for washing greens, and it's been working really, really well. I'll show you the packing stuff that I have. This is that little stainless pack table, and it's super small. I don't know the dimensions, but it's just about all I need. It holds my scale. That's pretty much it. And I want to talk about scales for a second because I know when you get started, you don't want to spend a lot of money on a scale, and I've gone through a couple cheap ones. And as most of you know with cheap scales, they don't last very long and they're inconsistent. And one thing you want to make sure is that you are never shorting your customers. So you want to make sure that it's accurate in terms of your product getting weighed out, because if you undersell your customers, that is not cool. So a good scale is worth a lot to me. This one's been great. I'll leave this link down below. Another thing I like about it is that it's stainless, but also has a big battery in it, so I don't have to keep it plugged in. I just charge it every once in a while, and I've only charged it maybe a couple times this whole season, and it never died on me. I just was like, oh, maybe I should plug it in. This has been great. Otherwise, what I keep on here is rubber bands for tying up my plastic bags, and it's like a Sharpie so I can mark how many pounds are on things if it's something that's not standard. And then other than that, I have 1 bag. And you guys know I like to keep things really simple. And this is the only bag I'm using. I'll leave this link down below. It's a bag from Uline. It's a little bit heavier, and I like that because it's just a little bit, it holds things really well, and it makes it seem like your products are higher quality too. And I hate using plastic, but it's necessary for for what we're doing here for food safety and freshness and all that stuff. So with this 1 bag, I do 2 pounds of lettuce. In terms of like kale, I do about 5 pounds. Beets with greens, I do about 10 pounds. And carrots, I think maybe 10 pounds, something like that. So that's all the stuff I'm doing. I'm only selling to restaurants, so 1 bag. That's it. Super simple. This is all I have out here. Not like I didn't clean up anything before filming this. This is really all I use. Next thing I want to talk about is refrigeration. All right, we'll talk about refrigeration now. And I get this question asked all of the time. I can't even tell you how many times I've been asked about this. And I have mentioned this plenty of times. I have showed this before too. This is my refrigerator. So the best thing you can do is get a walk-in refrigerator or walk-in cooler. You can DIY it, you can buy kits. There's all sorts of different options out there. You can get ones from old restaurants and put a CoolBot in there. I've never done any of that stuff. We did have a CoolBot mounted in a insulated trailer at Raleigh City Farm. That was there when I got there. It worked great. It's really nice having a place you can walk in and put bins. It makes your life a lot easier. But I've never gone that route for a couple reasons. One is I've never needed a big enough space. I never needed a cooler that big. And also I like that this is portable and I can move it around and very inexpensive. This is it. This is the only refrigerator I have for this. At times it's been overflowed into some other refrigerators in my house. But this is all I use. This is an old 2-door reach-in cooler. I bought this used super cheap from someone locally. I can get a lot of stuff in here when it's packed carefully. I can move the shelves around and stack up bins. As I'm harvesting, I can throw stuff in here. I also, in the summertime, I'll run the air conditioner in my garage and keep it cool in here. So after I've harvested, I can bring everything in here. But there you go. This is literally what I've been using for the first 2 years of my farm and also this season. At some points, I said this isn't quite enough. I would probably get another one if my volume consistently was higher. But for me, this is fantastic. I can turn it off when I'm not using it. So at this time of year when everything is being harvested once a day and going out the next day, I turn it on in the morning on harvest day and I turn it off the next morning when I leave for doing delivery. So it's great. I save a lot of electricity. This only runs about 24 hours a week, which is absolutely fantastic. In terms of transporting the veggies down to my customers, I use these big coolers. I did a whole breakdown about this in one of my How to Sell to Chefs videos. I'll leave that link down below in the related videos. I have these big coolers. I have 6 of them. They work great. They all fit in my van. If I needed more than that, I could probably fit them in my van. But I like having all the same cooler. You guys, this is part of my streamlined process that everything is the same. So when I grab something, it all works the same. And it's really nice. Of course, if you're mixing and matching, you have to make do. But if you're going to go buy a whole bunch, try to find one that you like and get a bunch of them. One thing I can't stress enough about is these ice packs have been absolutely incredible. I've just bought a bunch of like cheaper ice packs, the like flexible ones, they start leaking and blah, blah, blah. And this is nice because it gets super, super cold. Like it's hurting my hands to hold it right now. It's so cold. It also takes up a lot of surface area on the bottom, so it spreads out really well. And the nice thing is they stack really evenly and neatly in your freezer, so they don't take up a ton of space and they're not flying all over the place. So you can put a bunch of these in your freezer and it stays very organized. So one thing you have to keep in mind with ice packs and packing greens specifically is that if the greens are touching the ice pack, it will burn the greens and destroy them. So most people, I'll just put like a towel over it. What I notice when you have really cold ice packs is the towel won't even do it. So what I do is I take one of these baskets here, like for holding little pots, and I put this over the ice pack, and then I put the towel over top of that. And that way there's a little bit more space between the ice pack and the towel. I haven't had any issues with them getting burned that way. And this works super well. This is what I've been using, and I just load everything up, put it in the car, and I'm good to go. Other things, I can't quite think of everything today, but one other thing, you're gonna need a bunch of these totes. These are like the 18-gallon totes from, I think I got these at Lowe's. I have a whole bunch of these. They're all labeled for, not this one, but the other ones are labeled for harvest only, so no finished produce goes in there, and they go out in the field, and they, for most part, they'll fit in walkways. My walkways are 12 inches, so they're a little tight, but that's what I use to pull off all the veggies off the field and bring them into the wash station. And then when they're all cleaned out, I'll put them upside down, either on the drying screen there or in the one of the other areas there, to turn them upside down and let them dry out. This is something else that's been awesome for the wash station this year, is a wire rack on wheels. And if you've been following along on the channel, you probably recognize this. This is the rack that I used to use for growing my microgreens on. I just took the lights off. This is a 4 foot by 2 foot wide rack. I don't know how tall it is, but it has a bunch of shelves and they're adjustable. It doesn't need to be this size, but one thing I love is the fact that it's on wheels and I have a lot of shelves in here. And what I use this for is keeping stuff while it finishes to dry. And so like if I'm watching a bunch of carrots or beets and they get cleaned off and then they spend a few minutes on the drying screen, well then I can just lay them out on here and let them continue to dry while I work on other things. So I'll often wash those first. I'll put them out here to dry while I wash the lettuce. And as I'm getting through lettuce, I'll be packaging these up as well. I guess you could probably put a fan or two up top to try to blow some air through this. I haven't tried that, but that could be a good idea as well. But this has been great. It's very flexible and you can move it around obviously because it's on wheels. But this has been crucial with just trying to get the throughput through this little wash station and having a wide variety of different crops. This has been great. That's a breakdown of my wash station. This is literally what I use every single week, and you know, it's been working really, really well, and I want to share it with you, and hopefully you can take some of these ideas and turn them into your own and help make your wash stations work a little bit more efficiently. If you'd like to see how this works in practice, I made a video about harvesting and washing lettuce. I'll leave that link down below too. There's a lot of videos to link down below. Hope you guys go and check those out. Maybe I will make a video in the future about it while I'm using it in here, but it'll be very similar to the other video. Again, this has been working great for me. I really don't have any complaints at all, and I hope that you work on your wash stations, getting them more efficient for next year so you can save time, make more money, and spend more time with your family or doing other cool things that you enjoy doing. So hopefully you enjoyed this, and if you did, please consider hitting subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.